More guns than ever were caught at the TSA checkpoints last year. More than 6,000 guns were found in the U.S., and 86% of those were loaded. There were 48 guns found at Tulsa International Airport, which is the most in 4 years. News on 6's Brian Dorman has spent weeks investigating to find the reason why and explains how to travel safely with your firearm to avoid extreme fines.
Going through a TSA checkpoint with a firearm could lead to an expensive destination. It's all laid out here. Firearms and firearm parts are not allowed through security checkpoints. And look at the fine print. Fines can cost up to $13,000 or more. You're pulled aside. Tulsa police are called. They do a background check, of course. If you're not allowed to have a firearm, that could lead to your arrest. And it's a lengthy process as well. You're likely to miss your flight. So why is this happening so often? We invited TSA spokeswoman Patricia Mancha to fly up from San Antonio to Tulsa to explain.
The why is really difficult to pinpoint. People sometimes think, I can bring my firearm to the grocery store, why not the airport? Some of it is just plain carelessness. The #1 excuse that we get from travelers when we find a firearm in their luggage is, I forgot it was in my bag.
Here's a breakdown of the numbers in Oklahoma. At Tulsa International Airport over the past 4 years, there were 145 firearm catches at TSA checkpoints. The most catches you'll notice happened last year. At Will Rogers World Airport in Oklahoma City, there were 166, the highest number in 2019. And nationwide last year, there were more than 6,000 catches, with 86% of the guns loaded.
The 6,000 guns, 86% of them loaded, caught last year at TSA checkpoints. What does that say to a trainer?
That says I need to add a little bit more language to my class. Maybe I need to go beyond general guidance a little bit and point out some resources. You can demonstrate grip, stand, side alignment, sight picture, and all that kind of stuff. Go!
You'd be hard-pressed to find anyone in Oklahoma who knows firearms better than Mark Wolf.
Aim high center mass on the target.
Guns are his passion, and for the past 11 years, he's been training folks across the state how to use and travel with them safely.
All right, very good. In the classroom, I encourage people to own it. In other words, they are the first responder to their own incident. They need to handle it, but do so ethically, safely, efficiently.
According to the TSA, last year, the most catches were made at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport. The second highest catches, closer to home, and for many of us, our connecting airport, Dallas-Fort Worth International. The numbers are alarming to Mark.
TSA also reports about 86% of those guns were loaded.
Oh, that's shocking. It is to me. I would hope to avoid that by preparing my students a little bit better.
That's the goal of this news story, is to share that education with you.
You must have a hard-sided case for your gun to go in.
Mark and Patricia say there is no reason you should feel as if you can't travel with your firearm, and there's a safe way to do it for your next flight.
We are not anti-gun. Anybody who wants to is welcome to travel with a firearm. It simply must be unloaded, placed in a hardback container that locks with a lock. The ammunition must be packed separately from the gun. And finally, it must be declared with your airline.
And it's not just firearms that TSA is on the lookout for. They come across all kinds of things that are not allowed on board.
Is anything that can be used as a weapon, anything that can be used to cause harm to another person. So we're talking knives, stun guns, Kubotans, and then there's all kinds of novelty items. On the table, you're going to see a hairbrush that you think, what's wrong with a hairbrush? You open it up and it has a shank in there.
And back to that fee. Patricia says everyone is treated the same and fined the same. It doesn't matter if you're a packing granny who forgot her firearm in her purse or a 20-something businessman. You're on the line for at least $2,800, and those fees can exceed $13,000, even $14,000.
And I think most of us don't have that kind of money just laying around. Additionally, based on the circumstances, people can get arrested. Police are always called. They're the ones that adjudicate the case.
Anyone who is trying to get through with a firearm, I would assume they would just go to the old bottom line. Well, I didn't know it was there. And so how do you know that person did it mistakenly or intentionally and are just talking their way out of it? There's no way of determining that.
The best advice before your next flight, double check your purse and briefcase. And if you're not sure what's allowed in a carry-on, you can always print out a list by clicking on tsa.gov. Reporting at Tulsa International Airport, Brian Dorman, Oklahoma's own News on 6.